Welcome back, you guys, to the Who Needs a Therapist When You Have a Friend podcast. How are you guys doing today? Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for your guys' emails. I'm so excited to be hearing from you. I am so excited to be changing the topic very soon, and we're going to be talking about you guys, and hopefully I can have some of you guys on the podcast with me because you guys are my friend. We don't need a therapist, we need a friend. I mean, sometimes you do need a therapist, like when you're going through like really serious like mental health crises and stuff, because they are a good thing to have. But you guys, I don't need the therapist. I needed a friend at this time. And I'm hoping that you guys will gain some knowledge and experience through this. And I hope that this will help someone. I just want to say glory be to God and my Father which art in heaven for this podcast. And today we are going into a really deep, hard subject for me. For me personally, this is where stuff starts to really get hard. You thought teachers saying that my writing was atrocious is pretty bad. SBL atrocious, right? Yeah, we're about to get into a lot worse mental health, mental abuse in this semester. We're about to go through a lot of mental abuse together. And we're also about to go through a lot of heartbreak because you have to remember. So I was already devastated, mentally, like so sad because of what happened in summer where I couldn't find a tutor. Then I was also devastated because my best friend, my grandma, passed away. So I would already experienced trauma from these teachers, okay? From summer. And then I had 2 months or maybe like 1 month of a break away from the trauma of all the teachers. And then my best friend died on top of it. So we are then going back into another semester. And I'm hoping and praying at this point that it's going to be okay. We're not going to have as much drama. We're going to make it. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, but I was also quite sad already. So I was getting already in a mental state of sadness because I'd already been mentally abused by and discriminated against by these teachers. I had already been mentally attacked, okay? Being told I was stupid, basically, and that I couldn't do it, and that, I couldn't be an OT, and they were telling me why. And they, in that area where they say you need constructive criticism, how about you give me some nice things and as well? You didn't give me any strength. No, you didn't. All you did was say the things that I was weak at. It was like you were putting curses upon me that you didn't need to. All you did was like say bad things. So if you're here listening, that's what it was. But if you're not, just know that you guys sometimes during this one, I'm going to try my best to stay calm. I mean, I am healed from it, and I do pray for blessings for each and every one of these people. I do not want any like bad stuff to happen to any of these people. I pray over their lives, and I just hope that they are all doing well and that they are making all the money and doing all the things that their hearts desire. I'm just talking about a past time, and for me, when I go back into the past, it's a little bit hard. I think for me, and also today I'm just not feeling the super best. So it's going to be a little bit hard for me, but we are going to try to make it work. Okay, you guys, I'm going to try my best. So we're going into fall of 2017. Okay, teachers, Hardman, that's important. Baltusberger, Height, Kelly. Now, Camille, she is a fieldwork supervisor and coordinator. That's really important. Okay, you guys. Casey Humphrey, she's an assistant coordinator for fieldwork. I'm going to give you a side note about her. She was working full-time as an OT in the summer of 2017. And then she was transitioning into a new job as a teaching position, like for her teaching position, which was assistant coordinator for fieldwork. And then she was going to transition into the supervisor for the coordinator job. Let me tell you, the coordinator job wasn't easy because I'd heard Camille crying about it because there was another man who had had it the year before, and then he just left because he got a better opportunity. And they were very hurt and upset that he was just up and leaving, which good for him. And I'm glad that he went on with his life and did something better because you know what? In that program, they were very catty women. And, I'm glad he left. Okay, anyway, he enjoyed himself and he got a better paying job. So good for that man, right? But anyway, Camille was crying about it because she said he left it in shambles and like left all these people. So she was upset and having a very hard time with her job in 2017. But she was going to only take that position in the supervisor coordinator for fall of 2017. But in fall of 2017, there were already students on a placement that the other man had placed all these other students at. So then they were having problems with their placements for some reason. And then her taking over his spot was having to go over the people that he had placed in their placements. And then she was having to place my class into placements. And so she was upset. And so she was like, okay. And she was training Mrs. Humphrey here to take over to be able to do that job the entire time. That's a fly that I was about to just try to go after. So if you guys see me swatting, that's what it is. Anyway, so that's what happened with Casey Humphrey, okay? So then we're going into Miss Thompson, which we had talked about her prior to that because I had asked her to help me find tutors, and she said it was unethical. So she was the graduate school coordinator at that time. So then we also have Miss Schnick, Colleen. She was over the whole occupational therapy department. And if you guys don't remember, or if you haven't been to my podcast, she was the one that was telling me back in the summer of 2016 that I should not go, that to our entire class, that you should not go to the president of the college for problems that you have within the OT department because he cannot help you. Well, you guys, that's funny because she is the whole chair. So just a reminder about who she was. And then there was this OT that I go to field work with, and her name was Miss Richards. And I go to a middle school. So it's pretty important that you guys know that. Yeah, so she was a fieldwork instructor, but she was an OT for the middle school. And then we have John Dixon. He doesn't work there anymore, but he was a lawyer in the Equal Opportunity Office, and he was the director. And he doesn't work there anymore either. So, and then we have Miss Davis, and she was the disability director at EKU. I love this lady, and I'm just so thankful for her help. And she was also a lawyer, but not for EKU. And I really appreciated that woman. All right, so then we go on to my tutor, Miss Wright, the tutor that procrastinated a lot in the summer, but she was my tutor, and I was thankful to have a tutor, so that was who she was. And then we go to Miss Fletcher. She was in appeals committee. I never had any problems with this woman. No worries. But then we go to Causey Upton, which you guys know if you have been in my previous ones, that she was this woman that back in 2014 told me that I needed to leave this program because that she didn't think I could do it because I had a disability and how deep it was. Maybe she cared because maybe she knew how the teachers were going to treat me, or maybe I don't actually know her exact intentions, but maybe she meant good, but anyway, she's on this appeals committee and it's pretty important. So as we go. So the things that were broken during this semester of my schooling was HIPAA, FERPA, which is where people talk about other students and other things like academics and things like that about another person that's actually not supposed to be. So it's like FERPA is like HIPAA for the classroom. And then I was discriminated against. They did not give me any accommodations this semester in some of the classes. And I was also harassed on 9/15 of 2017. So let's go. So on 9/15 of 2017, I went to this thing called CAPE. It was an educational program for children to interact with their physical education classes. So it was like children going to the YMCA to have a physical education class. Children with disabilities were able to go there, and they were going to get help and to enjoy things like that. Okay. So during this time, I had a teacher, and her name was Dr. Hardman. And she assigned me to a nonverbal student. She assigned me to a nonverbal child. It was a, yeah, it was a girl. It was a girl. This is important to know. She was a girl student. I engaged with this child through swimming and gym time. Okay, so we did gym time in the gym, and then we did swimming. Okay, so we went swimming, and I tried to speak with my professor, Dr. Hardman, about different interventions and things that I could do to work with this child. Then the child, so during my time with the child at the gym, this child had a bowel movement. Without anyone's knowledge, she then started to dig in her diaper with both hands. Okay, so this child was digging in her diaper with both hands. And let me tell you guys, we do not have gloves at I asked it. Okay, so we're just going to continue. I immediately took her to the restroom, but I asked my professor if there were gloves available so I could clean the fecal matter off the child. Okay, I was told by Dr. Hardman. She replied, "No, we don't have gloves. You can just wash your hands after finishing." Okay, you guys, this is supposed to be a professional area where we're at, in a place where we're supposed to be doing field work. This is a child I have never met. I do not know the child's background. I do not know if the child has any type of sickness or illness within their fecal matter, you guys, okay? And that was difficult for me because I am a germaphobe. I'm 100% a germaphobe. I do not know if I had told you guys prior to this, but I'm telling you guys now. I am a germaphobe, okay? That was the most disgusting thing I think I had ever encountered. I did not know what to do. I did not have gloves. I had never met this child except for today, and I was freaking out, okay? I did not want to touch this child. I helped the child wash her hands. Then I had to figure out how we were going to change the diaper, okay, without gloves. And I was freaking out. I was not handling it well. Especially when, HIPAA and things like that, there are also protocols and things that you are supposed to do to help your own safety, and you needed gloves, okay, to handle fecal matter. You need gloves, okay? I mean, it wasn't my child. If it was my child, okay, maybe. But at this time, and she said, you're supposed to adapt to your environment to be able to come up with an accommodation to be able to help the child, okay? Washing your hands is not an accommodation. It is not adapting to me at all. No. So I was freaking out, but it did get done. The child's diaper did get changed and everything like that. So praise the Lord for that. And then I informed the child's mother that this had happened. Then the mother told me that this was a targeted behavior of her daughter. So her daughter does this all the time. And it wasn't in her chart. No, they didn't want to put that in there. And I was like, oh, but they said that the other people of CAPE were aware of what this child's behavior was. So what I want to know is why no one told me, right? Why was I being, and I was the only one that had to do anything like that because no one else had that. No one else. I asked like every person. So I was like, okay, great. And then Dr. Hardman later admitted that she handled the situation wrong and that I should have had gloves available to me. I should have had gloves available to me. Okay, yeah. Okay, sure. You handled the situation wrong, right? Like you didn't know that we should have had gloves. What happened if someone had blood on the ground or something like that had happened? Where's the first aid kit? Like you just thought it was perfectly fine to send me to the restroom to change a child's diaper without gloves or without any type of protection? Yeah. And you guys are going to see why I am thinking that this was on purpose, because I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. It was. All right. So then we're going to September 22nd. There was another incident at CAPE. So here we are at CAPE again. I'm also still under Hardman's advisement. I had been assigned to a different client this time. I'm now assigned to a 17-year-old male. All right. So this male is 17. He's almost an adult. I interacted with him from 5 to 6 in the gym. And then around 7 to 8, I was then having to go to a pool situation with the client. Okay. So once we were in the pool, this client, okay, he tried to kiss me on the mouth several times. And this was very inappropriate to me because I was feeling like I was uncomfortable, and I was trying to tell my teacher again that I was uncomfortable. And she just said, "Oh, he's a child, just continue on with your work." And I was like, all right. So then the child, you could see that he was obviously aroused down there in the pool area, trying to come after me and follow me and like kiss me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I do not know what to do. So I was trying to be a professional and trying to do my job that I was having to do. And I was afraid because this boy was like way bigger than me, and he was 17, and he was trying to kiss me, and I was trying to do my job because I knew the teacher was watching. But I was starting to freak out because I didn't know what to do. And at this time, you guys, I was like 23. And so I was just like freaking out, and I had to go in the gym, and I was like, you guys, I'm gonna need, like in the pool, I was like, you guys, I need help. So I had to ask help from my peers who were watching their own children in the pool to help me with my peer in the pool to keep him away from me because I was scared that this kid was coming for me in the pool, and he just kept coming. And just thinking about it, you guys, I want to cry a little bit because I should have had the teacher should have intervened. She was literally in the pool, and she could have helped me, and she didn't. And the other people in the class that had their own children had to help me. I had to tell a different teacher, a whole nother instructor, about this young man's actions. And once I finally got to tell the other teacher who was not in the pool area with me, with Dr. Hardman was in the pool with me, I had to get out of the pool after we were done with the class, and I had to tell another teacher the inappropriate actions that I had had with this young man who was supposed to be my client. Then Dr. Hardman later admitted to the meeting that she had observed this entire incident but failed to say anything. So this woman just watched this man, this boy at 17 that has a disability trying to like sexually come for me in multiple different ways in a pool, and I was trying to be professional. Never had an encounter like this. And she watched it unfold and decided she didn't need to help me when I had to go and tell another teacher that this had happened so it wouldn't happen to anyone else. And she thought it was perfectly fine. So this was the 2 encounters that I had at CAPE. And this was under the supervision of this Dr. Hardman. And after looking back on that, I needed to request to be taken out of this woman's class immediately. But at the time, me, being a young girl, thinking, okay, it's okay. Maybe you have to go through these types of interactions as an OT. You have to go through them. But you know what? My teacher should have been there to look out for me. She should have been there to help me. That's what a teacher is to do, right? A teacher, you know what? Let me look up the definition of a teacher. Hold on. I'm going to do that. So I looked it up, and it's like a counselor, a guru, a guide, a mentor, someone that's supposed to be there to, help you. Okay. She didn't help me. She watched it unfold, admitted that she didn't do anything, and thought it was perfectly fine. Okay. So that was not good. That was traumatizing for me. Okay. So anyway, now we're back. Now we're moving on to October 12th of 2017. Dr. Hardman summarized my job performance and sent it to Camille, which is the graduate school coordinator, and noted that I had the same delays as middle school children in school, that I should not work with this population of adolescents as a primary job in the future. She sent that in an email to someone else, because fast forward to 10, 12, 17, we were now put in a placement at a middle school. That's where she placed me, and she placed me only with an OT. And I will tell you that everyone else wanted an OT, and very select few people got an OT. But my teacher told me during a meeting that she'd made sure I specifically had an OT because she thought that I needed extra help. I needed extra help, you guys. This woman had already put me in 2 compromising situations prior. And then she moves me to a middle school and tries to make it even harder on me by putting me with a OT. Yeah. Okay, so I also have this paperwork here. Yeah, on 10/11. So there was, okay, so what I was having trouble with was some problems with, there was like a writing assignments that you had to do. And I was having trouble doing writing because the OT at the school wasn't doing notes. And she was like making things like super easy, and it didn't make any sense to me. And so what happened was I was wanting to go on my spring break to um to see like if I could get extra help on my spring break, so, or on my fall break. So I knew that you didn't have to go that day. I just wanted to go and learn more because I needed to learn. I didn't want it to be as a day for me to go by myself to just to do it. I was there to learn that day. I was very much there to learn that day when I went there. So let me just look at my paperwork and I'm going to come right back to you. Okay. So in this thing I have where this teacher tried to grade me. Okay. We started at this middle school on September 19th. Okay. And remember, you guys, I was at Cape on 9/22 and 9/15. So on that week of Cape, I also then started at this middle school, okay, with the same teacher as Leslie Hardman as my teacher. But I had to go to the middle school and be under Miss Richards, okay? And so I went there. We went once a week, so 9/17. I'm guessing I went on the Thursdays. I don't know if I can, let me pull up the whole. All right, so the month of September, we were only in this field work in the middle school from the 9/19 to 10/17, okay? So we were only in that field work for 4 days. We were going to see 4 days out of 1 month, okay? Like, that's it. And during that time, we were supposed to create an activity for a child. We were supposed to like really observe the OTs. All right, so here's where it even gets more interesting. With the teacher that had already had these 2 incidents, had already basically had it up for me. You could tell from these 2 incidents, but it just continues to get worse. So then on 10/11, I went to the therapy and I was trying to figure out how to write the notes because the teacher, the OT, she wasn't writing notes, and I was trying to really learn because I wasn't learning how to write these SOAP notes directly like how I needed to, and I didn't understand where I was messing up. So I had a tutor, and I told this Jamaica Richards, oops, that's her first name, but whatever, that I had a tutor to assist me, and I was just trying to learn, how to do this. And she just looked at me, and she most of the time sent me to the special education teacher. So that's where I spent most of my time. Okay, I might spend 1 hour or 2 hours out of the day, out of those 4 days with the actual OT instructor. And one of those hours I did spend with her, she also had the entire special education class with her and another OT student. So it wasn't just me learning from this OT, And this OT also did all of her things with the speech therapist. So it wasn't like the OT was only working with the children herself. There was like no one-on-one with any of these children that I saw. They would literally do OT and speech right next to each other and thought it was perfectly fine. Or they would combine the speech and OT and do it together because the speech therapist and the OT wanted to spend time together. Now, this is what I was supposed to be learning, watching. This is what they do in the schools, or at least at this school. But I heard the other schools with their OTs, they actually went and saw children individually, you know? I did not see that this teacher was doing anything for these children that were going to her at all. Actually, she liked to talk a lot, and that's what I saw. Her talking a lot and spending a lot of time with speech therapy. But I, again, only saw her 1 to 2 hours in a day because she normally sent me to the special education teacher, which is who I spent the most time with. So there's that important thing, okay? And then on 10/17, or no, on 9/19 and 9/26, I spent some time with this OT. On 9/19, that was the first day. And then the second day was 9/26. So that was like, I don't know if that was like that next week, probably, yeah. So that was the next week, okay? Then on 10/12, I spent the majority of the day. She says half the day, more than half of the day, with the special education teacher. Then on 10/10, I spent the whole day with the special education teacher class. Then I went for my fall break, okay? I went on my fall break to be with the OT so I could learn because you guys, I hadn't been with her. And then on the last day is when she gives me this, which is on 10/24 of 2017. And so I didn't spend very much time with this woman, so I didn't see very much what she did. And I had to create a like plan for the children that she saw. So there was one child that she saw in particular, but she told me he was at a lower level than the rest of the middle school classes. So I didn't need to put a high plan for the child because he didn't need it. That's what she told me. Oh, no, 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 no. She said, oh, you guys will hear what happened here. So this is the grading thing that she graded me on. Okay. She said, for most items, student received 2 scores, one from the fieldwork supervisor and then one from the academic instructor. The 2 scores will be averaged together to compromise the final score for the item. All right. Then number 2, the score will be tallied by the academic advisor, and then the score will only be calculated after they have the fieldwork corresponder has entered it in. Number 3, the expected scores between 126 and 122 or higher to be considered a passing score. A score of 121 or lower will be considered a failing person for fieldwork. If the score does not meet expectations on any item, or if multiple needs improvement scores are received, the academic instructor will meet the graduate coordinator and fieldwork coordinator to explore implementing a professional behavior plan. Interesting. If the score does not meet expectations, it is received either item 1 confidently or item 2 safely. The student will fail. So if you don't be safe, you'll fail. All right. So here we go. And so then also there were other things like, I think that there was something I had to answer. There was an answering sheet of questions. Oh, okay. So there's this like thing where they graded it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but they graded it. Okay. So then I went through numerically and rebutted everything that this woman had said. Okay. So we're just gonna go through it. So this one is setting is YMCA adaptive education program, which was called CAPE at the time, Leslie Hardman. was the supervisor, and then the other one was height. And so the following are general comments about the first your first field work. So general comments that she had. This is general comments that my teacher, Leslie Hardman, had about me, about CAPE, that I just told you guys about. Okay? She said that she provided me a 2. At CAPE, Magenta was interactive with an 8-year-old and a teenager with autism. She appropriately reported maladaptive behavior by teenager by prompting supervisors assigned a male student helper for teen in the future session. These visits occurred during September 2017. Oh, she didn't have very much to say because I told a different teacher and she watched it happen, right? Yeah, okay. So then we're focusing on items 3 through 9. So 3 through 9 is engages in positive communication, accepts change to schedule and assignments, manages stressors and emotions, modifies performance and attitudes and following feedback, displays curiosity and interest in learning, asks appropriate questions when in doubt, volunteers duties, and follows commitment. Okay. And you guys, I think that, okay, so here it was. The appropriate column for each of these items samples on the back of the sheet is where the score is 2 or 1. Okay, so then you provide it. 2 or 1. I don't know if that means that's good. Okay, yeah. So 1 meets expectations and no. A 3 means it meets expectations and a 1 means it doesn't. Okay? They only gave me a 3 in accepts changes to schedules and follows through with commitment. Oh. So you mean in the part where it says volunteers for additional duties, you mean when I went on my fall break to just try to see if I could learn more, that doesn't mean I volunteered for additional duties when I didn't even have to be there? Oh. When in doubt, I asked questions. I didn't ask any questions? What do you mean I didn't ask questions? I went to a whole day telling you that I went on my fall break because I needed help and I was coming to ask questions. Oh, but I don't get meeting expectations for that? Why not? Modifies performance and attitude with feedback. Oh, what kind of feedback are you giving me? Because it looked to me like at CAPE, I didn't get no feedback and I had to tell someone else. And you even admitted twice, she even admitted twice that she didn't do that. So come on now, right? So she gives me a failing grade in that. And then engages in positive communication with instructor and other classmates. Yeah. Pretty sure I had to ask other classmates to help me at CAPE. So I'm pretty sure I did that, right? Yeah. So then she says items 3 through 9, which is what I just read to you about positive attitude. Okay. She says focuses on few details versus the big picture. The big picture with that young boy was that he was trying to be sexually inappropriately and no one was there to help me. That was the big picture there. And I was still interacting with this boy and you're telling me that I didn't do that. Okay. I also, during the middle school time, when I was there, when I was with the OT, which was rare, I saw a big picture of her spending a lot of time with speech therapy and not doing occupational therapy, doing speech and occupational therapy together, where they literally gave out a worksheet and they worked through both at the same time with every student. And they did this every week. I never saw them work one-on-one. And if they did, it was very rare. Okay, so that I got the big picture. And I still remember, but you know. And then says grades a single child, a single client factor, or one for an assignment. One format for an assignment. Well, that's because that's all they did. That's all they did. The instructor, which was Jamaica, has observed a poor generalization of skills across assignments. Magenta demonstrates poor understanding of the relationship between a child and IP goals, classroom content, occupational therapy goals, and occupational therapy roles. You know what? Occupational therapy roles. I'm going to look that up for you. Okay, so I looked it up just so we would know. Okay, they're supposed to work on social and communication skills, sensory needs, mental health and self-identity, study habits, problem solving, independent self-care. And then they can also perform screenings and evaluations, which is one thing I was supposed to do an evaluation on a kid, and then we were supposed to have like an effective plan to take care and help. You are able to collaborate with other professionals, but it's supposed to help with a whole classroom wellness. Okay, not doing, you know, a literal speech therapy guide sheet and do that the same therapy for every single child that comes in there. It's supposed to be specialized per child. And if there is like a group therapy, okay, but not every single child that was going into that office was a group therapy. So just that was really important. Using meaningful activities to promote physical. They did have that for the special education kids. They did have a room to play with them, so they did that, but they also still incorporated speech and occupational therapy. You never really saw occupational therapy alone without speech therapy. So that's really important to note there. So where they're saying that I didn't know what you're supposed to do for content at the time, that wasn't true because I kept wondering why we were only with speech therapy all the time. That didn't make any sense. And then I missed opportunities to ask and collaborate and learn from my peers and professional people throughout that semester. Actually, if we go back to CAPE, I had to ask for a lot of help in regards to things like that. And then also, I went to the middle school by myself on a fall break that was supposed to be a free day for me to learn because I needed help. So I went there to ask questions and to learn. But I didn't do that. Apparently, that's what they're saying. So yeah, that's not true. So then we go to time management. And they gave me a 3 on everything except for the one that says allows adequate time and preparation at a job, like at the site. Okay, so my strength I wrote here, magenta, or no, she wrote this. She wrote this but gave me a 2. This is what she wrote. A strength is magenta consistently works ahead in course assignments due to her learning disability. Well, why do we have to put that in there? And uses adaptive strategies, but she just said I wasn't adaptive. Interesting. I didn't adapt to things. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Hold on, let me pause that. Yeah, so if we go back up here to 7, it says displays curiosity and interest in learning. She gave me a 2. Then she asks appropriate questions. She gives me a 2. Then down here at 12, she says it was my so she gave me a 2 on all that, and then was saying that I had adaptive strategies. Okay, interesting. And then she says, however, the structure of assignments and clear rubrics, she does not always prepared for a less structured opportunity at a fieldwork site. This makes her appear as an observer and not an active learner in a peer context. Okay. Well, in the situation she's talking about with CAPE, during that time, I did not know what to do directly because we weren't prepared for that. Like, we did not get told what to do in situations like that. We did not have any type of rundown how to professionally handle that. And I tried to handle this as professionally as I could, which she even noted that she did not mentor me or guide me or help me and be a teacher during the times that I was not structured. Yeah. Interesting, right? Okay. Now we're going to professional communication. This one is probably the last one I can do during this podcast because we are running low on time. But she says, so this is professional communication. She gives me a 2 on all of these, all of them. Professional communication, meaning me trying to tell you something means that's not professional. Interesting, right? Okay. Engages in clear and positive verbal and nonverbal interpersonal communications with family, peers, instructors. 2. Demonstrates concise written and verbal communications. A 2? Okay. Writes documentation according to designed feedback for format. 2. Oh, so I didn't write a SOAP note? Interesting. Demonstrates constructive resolution of a conflict. Practices assertive communication. I'm not assertive. Okay. Well, probably at that time I wasn't assertive. No, I wasn't. I was quiet to learn. So then she says for 16 and 17, engages in positive verbal and nonverbal intercommunication skills and demonstrates concise written and verbal skills. Magenta is more often quiet and observant with peers and instructors, resulting in appearance of a non-communication. Well, one, I didn't really need to talk to my peers because I don't need friends at that time. I was trying to pass the class and learn. And her communication verbally and in writing is often unclear. So me talking to her, she cannot understand my words. Maybe we're not speaking the same language. I don't know. And writing, I don't know how that wasn't clear because I did have a tutor in the writing that I would write her. So we don't speak the same language. Oh, Dr. Hardman. I mean, I'm speaking English, but I mean, maybe I can speak some other language too. I would love to learn other languages. Maybe I speak French and don't even know it. I mean, possibly. This often results in misunderstandings with instructors with notable agitation and perceptive topics. Per something. I don't even know this word that she's saying. Topics in email exchanges. No. She didn't like what we would email, and she would say that she didn't receive my emails at this time. She didn't like to talk to me through email because guess what? Everyone could read those emails. So then she wanted to have a conversation in person together. And we have that. And you know what? I think I even have that on recording, you guys. We could listen to that. This is an area for improvement for success in professional settings of fieldwork 2 and occupational therapy jobs. But, why is she saying that I'm going to fieldwork 2 when she just failed me in this, right? Make it make sense, you guys. Make it make sense. Because it isn't. And then she goes on to write a whole thing about number 18. Writes documentation according to designated format. Magenta has made an improvement in documentation using specific formats. This is an area for improvement as she is challenged to use learned adaptive strategies to produce written documentation in a new or unexpected format or with short time frames. Okay. So why are we learning different formats when it's a SOAP note and I'm supposed to write the SOAP note how I know it to the best because each person does it to their own way that they write it and it's subjective. Oh, and also a lot of times when you go out into the world now, you can have a click box to click each part of the SOAP note. You don't even write it. Yeah. But no. She wanted me to have it all wrote out in a different format every time when they only taught us like one way, 1 or 2 ways possibly during this time. And I mean, you guys, this is years ago. we're looking at almost 10 years ago when this happened. So some of my thoughts of what happened, or even remembering OT, sometimes it's going to probably be not remembering it exactly, but this is just on paper, and when I reread what's on the paper, we're reliving what's happening back in the 10 almost 10 years ago. So you guys forgive me if it's not perfectly exactly how, I would have told you guys this like 10 years ago, because honestly, I wish I could have told you this 10 years ago, because I would have had so much more information. It would have been more dramatic, probably. Yeah. So, all right. So 18. We did that one. So we're doing 19 and 20. Okay, 19 and 20 demonstrates constructive resolution of conflict and practices assertive communication. She gave me 2 and 2 about that, saying I can't resolve a conflict. And as you can see, I resolved the conflict at Cape without her help. With the young man, I got help from peers. I had to tell someone else. And then the young girl, I did get help with changing the diaper and everything in that regards. So I'm not sure where she's saying this, but whatever. So for 19 and 20, demonstrates constructive resolution of conflict per practices assertive communication. Magenta has indicated by her behavior in conflicts with the fieldwork educator that she demonstrates a preference to avoid direct contact and conversation with persons instead of talking to them in her spheres of support. This seems to be a delay to resolution to conflicts. To resolution of conflicts. This seems to be this seems delay resolution to conflicts. I think she's meaning this seems to delay the resolution to conflicts. She missed a word. Okay, this woman missed a word. She said I can't do writing, but she missed a word in her sentence. Okay. Magenta has asked directly to support with her assignments. I asked my supervisor to help me, yeah, which received in compliance with her accommodations. I did not get help with my assignments, and that's what I had asked my regular supervisor, which was Leslie Hardman, to help, and she was mad because she did not apply to any of those accommodations during her class. And she was very angry. As you can tell, and she didn't even put the word the in her sentence. And I mean, I know that that sounds petty, but you guys, I just had to reread that twice because she did not put that in there. But yeah, I avoided her sometimes because her conflict with her, she was just putting me down all the time. And at that point, I did not want to hear that because I was already stressed out about the class in general. And when I would talk to her, have a conversation with her, this woman would put me down verbally every time. You guys will hear more about that probably soon in what she said in some of those meetings. Yeah. So now we're going to go into item 21, but I do not think we have time, you guys. It's also part of it. We can try. Let's see. Submits written communication that employs conventional grammar and punctuation word use. And okay, and she gives me a 2 when she was supposed to help me with accommodations, and so I had a tutor, and the tutor helped me, and I would send it to her. And so I'm asking her why she's sending me this. And I think one time she had even asked me to send it without the tutor's help so she could get the raw version. So I sent her one probably. And with this, her saying, Magenta has an accommodation through EKU. Well, why you got to put that on there? Why you got to put my accommodations on there? Guess what? My disability was not affecting this at all. Like, you do not need to put my disability in this. Like, you've already put it in there twice, and I want to know why. And I also wanted to know why because the middle school supervisor had access to this, and she read this or wrote part of this. She wrote part of this, and I don't know how she knew I had a disability because that was never supposed to be disclosed. I only told the woman that I had a tutor and was trying to get help. I never said what my disability was to this woman at the Rock Castle. And they're sitting here writing this is like what they wrote together. So it wasn't just Leslie Hardman. It was also Jamaica Richards who had wrote this out. So it wasn't just the one person. Yeah. So that's what I got really upset, that she was talking about my disability in something that was supposed to be for like my grading. Like, you're not supposed to be grading me on my disability. You're supposed to be grading me on what I actually could do or couldn't do. And she was grading me on my disability. So it's like, this allows for slight misspelling words, punctuation, and grammar in assignments. Guess what? The assignments that she read were never had that grammar stuff because I'd already had a tutor with me looking over it. The only time she would have read anything that had a misspelling or grammar could have been an email, one, or two, something I would have sent her without my tutor looking at it, and that was because she asked for a raw subnote without my tutor because she was having problems with me having a tutor. And that wasn't even the first teacher that had done it. If we had talked about Dr. Howe, who had done that before and called my writing atrocious, and now I'm getting marked off points because I have a small grammar mistake or two in an email. And that should never have happened. And also, I will note that the person that worked at the middle school never even saw my writing because she didn't do writing. So she wouldn't have even saw it unless I allowed her to see it when I was trying to go on my fall break for help with soap notes. That would be the only time she would have ever seen that. And she wouldn't have known that that was my disability because I didn't tell her. I just told her I had a tutor to help me and that I needed help. That's it. And I don't know how having a tutor for extra help to learn is a problem. So it was. She asked Leslie Hardman if she could have a discussion with potential impact on spelling errors in client documentation, and it related to accuracy to impact client care and reimbursement. To help the client who had fallen behind, she was unable to make the right corrections in the remaining 3 sentences to rewrite them. Yeah, so if that was when she was trying to help me with an accommodation because she was already irritated that she hadn't helped me the entire class time. And I remember that actually because I was trying to get help with writing a soap note and she was mad that I wasn't writing it the way that she needed it to. And I was trying to learn and she was just now degrading me because we did not do that. So that was during a time that I was requesting help that she says I can't do. So, you guys, I just am going through this with you guys in real time. I haven't went through this in so long. I cannot believe that this is how this is going. Yeah. So we just went through those ones of that, some of them, and then we can go through like more things that she's just like said. Like, I don't know if I think it continues. We just did item 20, like 21. These were like that was like part of it that she was like going on about. And then she just continued here. Item 22. And then I have like more things that she'd actually said here to just continue going on about how terrible she thought I was. So we will pick back up on item 22 whenever we come back to this lovely podcast. So you guys, if it seems frazzled, it's because it's almost been 10 years. I haven't looked at this information since literally it happened. I have tried to block out what has happened in regards to this for years, but now I just want it to be out there, publicly known. I am not ashamed anymore of the person that I was and what I had to endure and what I had to go through. I will not be put down anymore in regards to, I mean, yeah, you can tell me my writing's bad. Yeah, you can tell me all these things. You can, attack me as much as you want in regards to that, but it does not define me as a person. It does not define my character. It does not define your character. If someone is putting you down mentally and being mentally abusive, and these teachers get away with so much mental abuse that they do to people, it has to stop. Mental abuse needs to stop with what teachers do. And this really was a lot of mental abuse and basically singling out a person because they had a disability, and she did it strategically. I don't know if you guys can see how strategically it was, but it was definitely strategic, especially with Cape. And then how I needed help, and how she would use me asking for help as a weakness and turn it around and try to fail me for it. So yeah, strategically planned out. I'm so glad that you could strategically plan it out, Miss Hardman. Anyway, I hope you're doing great, Miss Hardman, if you're listening to this. I mean, you guys, I just keep on thinking, I'm talking to her. We're going back into that conversation. I'm so sorry, you guys. I put you a lot in these sentences, and I know it was like me directly talking to her. But you know what? Hey, Leslie, let's have conversation. Want to come on my podcast and let's talk about it? You might get a little bit frazzled, huh? Because I remember during, what were they? Those things for, testimonies, whatever they're called. Depositions. That's what it was. You did get a little bit frazzled and you had to talk to that lawyer multiple times, right? I think we have all that transcript. Oh, we could react it out. Oh. Anyway, I really do hope that you have blessings in your life, and I hope your life's going well, and I learned a lot. We are moving on. Anyway, just wanted to let you guys know. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.